Gigantic.
Hey, it's June 21st, and there was a murder on Raw Monday night. Still not over that yet.
Yeah. No charges have been filed. and
Chad Gable's out of the Money in the Bank.
Chad Gable's
Chad
out.
Gable needs a little time off to recover from the murder.
Gunshots to the head will do that to you.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier this week, but we got a lot to talk about tonight. I'm Glenn here with Raj. Welcome to Gigantic Pop. AEW ratings going down. Wyatt 6 going up. It's crazy. It's a crazy week.
NXT going up, doing some of their best numbers. It's just it was a tale of two companies this week in so many ways. And sorry Matt's not here. Hopefully he can make it. Otherwise, we'll be back at our regular time next week. But
yeah. So Raj, what's happening?
Oh man, so I'll start with NXT. So at first, NXT PW Torch had reported that it did something like really low on the viewership end. It was like 587,000 viewers and a 0.21 demo ratings. And I posted that, because I usually like to look at trends and year over year.
Don't we all?
And I was like, but that rating makes no sense. The 0.21, if it did a 0.21, that means the viewership should be high sixes. So I reached out to some people and I got clarification that no, that's an incorrect number. And so I posted the accurate numbers, which were 724,000 viewers, which was up 1% from last week, and a 0.26 18 to 49 demo rating. That was up 18% from last week. It was the best demo rating that NXT has done this year, and one of the best ratings they've done in years. And it was number one for the night on cable. So really strong rating. Yeah,
and
really
I love
rating.
NXT. NXT is my favorite show, and I'm saying like this was an okay episode of NXT, but it wasn't like. I mean, you know what? This is the power of WWE. This is the craziest thing. AEW does the Forbidden Door thing. They do stuff with New Japan. They put on some all-time fantasy matchups, and that gave them a little lift. NXT, the third-ranked brand in WWE, starts working with TNA, the third-ranked promotion, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, what's going to happen on NXT?"
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't really watch TNA. I mean, just look at their numbers. But the infusion of and look, myself included, once I sold the site, I had to cut out a lot of the wrestling so I can spend more time with my family. I don't watch TNA, but I'll follow some people. I follow Jordan Grace. I've been following Joe Hendry since I saw that clip after WrestleMania where someone spliced together him with CM Punk at Mania, which is a hilarious clip. If you haven't seen it, go on Twitter. But I think just that infusion and that unknown, it just makes things more interesting and it gets people more invested. And you're seeing that. And yeah, I mean, that rating was just because TNA does not do good ratings. Their ratings are really bad. They do under 100,000 viewers now each week. So, this is kind of one of those weird things where you would think TNA appearing on WWE TV would help TNA more than WWE, but it's kind of been the opposite.
And you still don't agree with me that WWE might buy TNA or try and acquire a stake in Anthem? TKO might.
No, because again, I think because of that MLW lawsuit, I don't think they want to acquire any more companies. I don't think they want to do anything that makes them look more like a monopoly. Because that was, I think that's one of the reasons why they're working with so many other companies now. You're seeing AJ Styles going to Noah. They're really opening up to working with other companies. I'm sure a lot of that is just Vince McMahon not being there, but I think also the lawsuit. I'm sure Nick Khan is like, get out there, work with other companies because he's not of that same mindset that Vince was.
Yeah. No, it's crazy to see, but the Joe Hendry effect, that battle royal, man, like the interest in that was insane, and it was an amazing troll move that Joe Hendry got eliminated first from that battle royal,
right?
After all that hype.
Yeah.
But
Joe Hendry is winning out the most with this partnership. I mean, Jordan Grace as well, but Joe Hendry, man, he came off feeling like somebody. And that social media post with him and Shawn Michaels did like what, 1 million views or something.
It's crazy. I mean, yeah, it didn't get more likes than the Wyatt 6 thing from Monday, which is crazy.
Yeah, he's just one of the guys that has that way to go viral and like get people caring on social media. I think he could be a tremendous asset to them once, if they ever decide to sign him, which I wouldn't see why they wouldn't.
Well, I mean, clearly, AEW has the answer, which is potentially Shane McMahon joining the company.
Right. And so it sounds like there's nothing to that. It sounds like, maybe Shane McMahon was just joking around like to one of his friends, in AEW saying, wouldn't it be crazy? What would happen if I showed up on Dynamite? But in The Observer, Tony Khan has said he's never met or spoken to Shane McMahon. So that would shock the hell out of me. I don't see that ever happening. You never say never with pro wrestling.
It would be a good on-screen storyline.
But what? I mean, you could always come up with something. Look, Shane McMahon, he would drive attention for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, look, Tony Khan, I mean, he's popped ratings short term by bringing over former WWE talent. The difference is, and hear me out on this, because this sounds a little crazy, but Shane McMahon, okay, not as a wrestler. We all know how that goes. But Shane McMahon has more baked in storyline potential than, I mean, almost any other WWE talent he's signed. Like, he comes with a storyline built in.
There's a ton you could do with them for sure. Yeah. But, the one thing that AEW has been lacking, we'll get into the ratings here in a second, is that they haven't really been able to capitalize when they bring in these big stars like Adam Copeland or, Mercedes Moné, Okada. They haven't really been able to take those talents and put them in a storyline that grows ratings or really grows interest. The one that they did was CM Punk and, Danielson, Adam Cole kind of all coming in at the same time. They got a huge boost from that. But since then, it's just kind of been, they're getting tons of talent, but they're not enhancing their popularity while their payroll is increasing exponentially.
They could do a really shitty invasion angle with Shane McMahon saying, Claudio, Edge, Daniel Bryan, going back to Mox, I've been setting the seeds for this for years, Tony Khan. Like it would kind of suck, but people would tune in to watch that.
They would, for sure. And I mean, the majority of the AEW roster, I think, has probably been in WWE at some point.
It makes sense as a storyline. It's not a good storyline, but I think it would actually sustain ratings for a few months and give AEW a chance to come back.
You would have to do it right. Invasion storylines have been done a lot, and
I know
they haven't really been done well for the most part. Since the NWO, which ones have really been successful?
I know. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying this is like this is like legitimately they could have Chat GPT write this and it would just be paint by numbers. But you know what? Look, if TNA is popping rating for NXT, I think this would pop a rating for AEW.
It definitely will at the start. Now it's
everything does at the start. But I think it would sustain. It's not good. I'm not asking good TV, folks. I'm saying though, like it would be interesting. There's a couple other levers they could pull to
Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon going would be like a lot of people would complain when it happened, right? But it would be like Tyson fighting Jake Paul. A lot of people complain, but chances are most of them are going to watch, and so people would watch and they'd tune in at the beginning. But again, not happening.
If I were Tony Khan, I'd be looking for some quick fixes to just.
He's been.
I know, change the narrative quickly.
Yeah. I mean, Shane definitely would be the biggest, but I mean, outside of signing. Kevin Owens' contract's coming up next year. Ricochet is not that level of star. Natalia.
Ricochet will be fun.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, obviously him and Will Ospreay's a natural.
Man, you get Stokely as Ricochet's mouthpiece. That could be amazing.
Yeah, and Ricochet has shown that he can cut a promo when needed. So if you give him some mic time and let him improve on the mic, um, I just don't see him at that world title level, at least, you know,
Yeah, I don't know.
unless it's a one match with Will Ospreay, but not as a champion or anything. But
Is it
who
going to be
knows?
better than the last
Improving
one
that.
though?
Well, the last one, I mean, I'm sure, I'm sure it will be.
Okay.
They'll have a big crowd,
Yeah.
and you know, the first ones was cool, but it was like a dance. And I'm
Yeah.
sure they'll do some of that, but I've got to think they'd be a lot more physical early on than their other matches.
I just think NXT has so much momentum right now, which is funny considering how badly NXT lost when they went head to head with AEW, trying to basically be AEW.
Yeah, and so we might as well get into that. Let's go
Yeah.
ahead with the AEW rating. So kind of the same thing with NXT. When I saw the NXT number, it didn't seem right to me, so I reached out. So earlier today, Programming Insider reported the AEW Dynamite numbers, and it was 502,000 viewers, which was 26% down from last week. And last week they were against the NBA Finals. Last week was a bad rating that they did last week. NXT beat it last week in total viewers, but not in the demo. So they did 502,000 viewers without the NBA or NHL. And then they did a 0.16 18 to 49 rating, which was down 30% from last week as well. Year over year, Dynamite was down 44% in total viewers and 52% in the demo. I saw that and I was like, there's just no way. These are the lowest numbers in the history of the show in its regular time slot. And so I reached out, and yeah, those were the right numbers. I mean, I was told, the lead-in, which was the Black Panther movie, was way down from what they usually have with Big Bang Theory. But again, if it's the lead-in that's causing the AEW Dynamite number to be that much higher, then you got to wonder that in all these years, like,
That's super weird.
Without the big lead-in, what would it have been doing? Like when it was head-to-head with NXT, would NXT have been beating it if Dynamite didn't have that lead-in? So hopefully it's not just the lead-in, because if it is, then you don't want to be so dependent on your lead-in week in, week out, because if something happens where you have to move nights, or Big Bang Theory is not on before you, then
did anyone ever do a comparison with NXT of like Modern Family versus SVU affected ratings coming on before?
I mean, I've never heard of SVU doing like any of those, any of the USA Network Monday night shows. And the thing is also, you always see with Dynamite that big first quarter and then a drop off, throughout the show all the time. Whereas with Raw, SmackDown, NXT, it varies. What the highest rated quarter is. It's not like there's a giant first quarter and then it drops. So I mean, this number was, again, with Dynamite, it was just disastrously bad. And some people were saying, well, there's this Kendrick Lamar special, and it was Juneteenth, which was a federal holiday. Yeah. But if that was the case, then all the shows would have been down, and almost every show that in the top 10 primetime shows were up from the week before that were on last week. They were up. So I think the only two were like Gutfield and Jesse Waters from Fox News, and they were only down a little, not 40% or 26 and 30%. So again, it wasn't Juneteenth, it wasn't Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. We got a couple super chats here. First off, JR Smith, $2, saying thank you for taking the time out of your Friday for us. Of course, glad to be back at a regular time.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for taking the time out of your Friday to join us.
And then Peter Bahi, $2, saying any updates on Warner Brothers and AEW or any interests elsewhere?
Well, it does seem like the one thing we know is that they did make an offer at some point and AEW turned it down. And, there was that report that they were disappointed in the offer. Whether or not, that's Tony Khan used that word or not, but clearly they weren't overjoyed with it, or they would have signed. So, I think they're negotiate the window where they can start negotiating with other companies is up in a week and a half at the end of this month. So they can start accepting other offers in July. and that'll tell a big story. I mean, you've got to think there's got to be other places that'd be interested, but who is as big as WBD that has the kind of reach as WWE with TNT and TBS? I mean, you've got ESPN, but I can't see them devoting an hour a week in a fixed spot to wrestling. Maybe on ESPN2, but that's obviously a much weaker station. You got Amazon Prime, with streaming, they're doing really well with football. Football is growing, great. So there
Paramount,
are other options.
Who's in austerity mode because they're trying to sell the company.
And that sale fell through. And again, Disney, we said ESPN doesn't seem likely, but you could have FX. FX would be
FS1
similar. FS1 is obviously a much weaker station than TNT or TBS.
I don't know they do FX.
FX isn't, but FX is Disney, and FS1 is Fox.
Yeah, and I don't know if Fox wants to immediately get back in the wrestling business, given.
Well, they had to pay a lot for SmackDown. They get AEW a lot cheaper, but again, there's no way that AEW is going on Fox.
Yeah, I mean it's a conundrum. I think they need to make the best out of Warner Brothers, but it's amazing they can't sell the library and rights to HBO Max, or especially because they're doing that new sports streaming service. This can be a joint venture.
Well, the thing with streaming is the old content doesn't really generate that many views. With the WWE on Peacock, it's the live events, it's the live pay-per-views, the PLEs.
Yeah, they're not doing ride along anymore or table for three.
And it's not like old, episodes of Raw or are generating tons of interest, or old In Your Houses. I mean, people watch them here and there, but what is getting the big bucks for these deals is those live events. So it's live pay-per-views.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. It's interesting time. Speaking of pay-per-view, SummerSlam is coming into focus.
Yeah, SummerSlam. It looks like the top matches are going to be Cody Rhodes against Solo Sikoa, which
not Randy Orton, which makes infinitely more sense and feels like a SummerSlam main event.
I just feel like with Cody, he's had nothing hot since he won the title,
and
Randy Orton could be that feud. Yeah, it just feels like it's dulling him down. And the SmackDown rating last week was, the lowest of the year that they've had, and it was down year over year, which is rare for SmackDown. So it's clear it needs a spark. And if Roman Reigns isn't coming back for SummerSlam, they need to do something big with Cody. He's their top star, and Solo isn't it, not yet, at least.
It's not. The baby bloodline is not working that well.
Yeah, so we were talking about how it'll probably be Cody, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens against the Bloodline. But at Money in the Bank, but it looks like instead of setting up Cody versus Randy Orton, it's going to be setting up Cody versus Solo Sikoa. There may be Solo pins Cody.
What? Oh, at the 6-man.
Yes. Yeah, the 6-man.
No, I hear you. Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not. But the rest of SummerSlam is looking awesome. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Obviously, we've got. It is. That is the scheduled match right now. So it looks like CM Punk will be cleared and ready to go by then. Obviously, Bayley versus Nia Jax. I wouldn't call it awesome, but it should still be good.
It'll be good. Good.
I think it'll be good. And they've known each other forever, so I'm sure they could put together a really good match. Logan Paul versus LA Knight, which should be great. Should get LA Knight kind of get some steam again. Yeah. And gosh, what am I forgetting? Oh, Seth Rollins. I don't know if it's Seth Rollins, but Gunther getting a world title shot. My guess is it'll be Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins versus Gunther just feels more like a world title match. Two heels with Damian Priest and Gunther at SummerSlam just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like. Just doesn't feel right.
Yeah. The Solo thing is really tough, and I like Solo a lot. I think he was doing very well in the Bloodline, but they gave him an impossible task.
I mean, no one could really do it, right? It's kind of like when Shawn Michaels left, right? When he left after WrestleMania 14 with DX, they basically had to bring in 3 people, one straight from WCW with X-Pac, and then the New
Yeah.
Age Outlaws.
Yeah.
And that worked, but
They
I
could have
don't
kept
know.
Jimmy in the fold. I think Jimmy would have been interesting because the audience likes him. So seeing him deal with the stress of trying to do this would have been,
Yeah,
it would have
but
made him a baby face, but he could have kind of Michael Corleoned it at the end.
if you're, you could do that, but I think with the Bloodline storyline and Jimmy was injured, so
It's the reason why
yeah,
they never made a Godfather 4 with Andy Garcia. You just didn't have that attachment to him. That's
right.
what I'm saying. Is
Plus 3
uh,
was not. I don't think it's as bad as people say, but it still wasn't good.
did you watch the recut?
I did. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was better.
I did.
But
Yeah, it was a little better, but I didn't like the
yes.
ending. I actually liked the ending of the other one more. But
But yeah, so what I'm
real
saying is
quick,
that Solo Sikoa is the Vincent Corleone of the bloodline.
right? Peter Bahi with the chat saying Caesar Sokoa, WWE trademarked that name. Got to assume that's for Jacob Fatu. But we'll see. Maybe that's his new. He starts doing a king thing, like he's the king of the bloodline, and starts calling him Caesar Sokoa. But we'll see. But right now, I don't know. Just with Solo in charge, and they've kind of made that pivot in the storyline with like, oh, maybe Solo's not the guy, and it's Bloodline Light or something like that.
No, it is. It's not. It's all of these guys. Let me just be very clear. Tongaloa, Tamatonga, Solo Sikoa are all very talented, but they've been given an
Mhm.
impossible task. It's like if Fonzie was away for Happy Days and you tune in, it's like watch Chachi and Potsy and Ralph Mouth like get into trouble, and you're like, Richie's not here, the Fonz isn't here. Like what Ted McGinley's not even here. Like, what do I have? Like, this is really secondary. This is second tier Happy Days.
Yeah,
You know?
Tamatonga's been really good. He's been impressing the hell out of me, but he's still not established. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough to Roman leaves a big void.
I mean, okay, so maybe the Solo thing is so Solo loses badly and Roman comes back at SummerSlam, and that's how they end SummerSlam.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I actually think I could easily see that happening. Solo loses and Roman comes
If
because
that's the main
I don't see
event,
Solo winning the title.
but if that's the main event, Roman has to return, or else that's the weakest main event, just on a pure booking level.
Well, you got probably Seth versus Gunther, and it's weird. It's almost like CM Punk versus Drew would be the biggest match on that show, but without a title involved, it's hard to justify it going last. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It was a very strange time, but I'm excited for LA Knight versus Logan Paul.
Yeah.
That's going to be cool.
That should be cool. And then, did you see the Wyatt Six kind of interrupt the Pat McAfee show?
Oh,
They
I didn't
didn't
see
actually
with them
show up, but they did
Oh,
the lights out.
I saw the
It was
lights
kind of a
thing.
cool little thing.
I saw the picture of them after the show at Whataburger with a fan, all out of costume, just hanging out.
Yeah,
That was kind of neat.
What a burger is good stuff. It's no In-N-Out burger, but it's good.
But yeah, I think the Wyatt Six. I'm curious tonight how they address that. It's weird on NXT they didn't address that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I could see them wanting to keep it kind of separate from what's going on in NXT. They did have that video with Nick Aldis. Did you see that earlier today? Saying he would not allow the Wyatt Six on the show. So it almost makes it
wow. Well,
which makes it seem like makes it seem like they'll appear, but I don't know. It's almost like you don't want to do it too much right off the bat. You want to.
But you wouldn't allow them on the show. Could you just see like Nikki Cross in her stranger's mask and Bo Dallas, and they're just like, oh, okay, I guess we're going home then. Like, you won't allow us on the show. Like, that's so. Their characters should murder Nick Aldis tonight.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, they have to. They have to do. They have to keep this momentum going. Like, but how real do they treat it? That's the question.
Right.
We can't just have like Titus O'Neil after the Firefly Funhouse match being like, well, that was something. Like this was a real this needs to be treated like a real event, what happened at the end of Raw.
Yeah. We got a bunch of chats. Should we get some of those?
Yeah,
Because
hit some.
outside of the ratings and stuff, I feel like we covered a lot of it earlier this week with the Wyatts.
No.
Here, let me get some of these. Cleveland Rocks saying, so now that the NBA is over, the blame has been put on the Big Bang Theory. Unbelievable. I don't know if it's so much the blame. That's not a good thing for AEW if the Big Bang Theory is having that much of an effect on their ratings. They should not be dependent on their lead-in to do a good number.
No, I mean, why don't they start blaming the WNBA?
Right. Yeah.
The competition. Although I did go to an Aces game the other night, and it was packed, and it was really fun.
Yeah, I'd love to go sometime.
Yeah, dude. Like the problem is, we wish we would have gotten on the bandwagon a year or two sooner, because now it's like tickets are more expensive and harder to get. But
right.
Yeah, man, like it was insane. And what they do, by the way, they had a segment. They had like Dana Brooks' old show us your flex thing, and the player in the video from the Aces had a WWE championship belt over her shoulder doing the flex like during that, which I thought was kind of cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Brett Murphy saying McAfee is going to get destroyed Monday. You watch. That would probably get a little mainstream attention. Well, maybe not mainstream, but it would probably get some social media attention for sure.
Yeah. Do you think then Pat McAfee welcomes a member of the Wyatt Six, and maybe he welcomes them all in the studio for an interview on his podcast? That would be amazing. That would be amazing. And they're just silent the whole time in their masks, just saying nothing.
And then the lights go out, and then everyone's murdered.
Yeah, be good.
Darla Catch saying, this is depressing. I'm really concerned about AEW. Next week, they're going to have the Big Bang Theory back as the lead-in. If they're up significantly, up to back to normal, then that's really what it is. They get a huge boost from Big Bang Theory, bigger than I thought. Like, I always knew it affected the first quarter. Again, not a good thing. You don't want to be reliant on your lead-in, but it is. I'm pretty sure it's going to be up next week.
That's such a diminished idea. I mean, if that is the case, then AEW does not have as many fans if they're just the show that's on after the Big Bang Theory. They go, I'm watching the Big Bang Theory. Oh, wrestling's on. Let's watch this. I like wrestling.
Yeah, or you just leave it on while you're cooking, and like after Big Bang Theory's over.
Yeah. Don't discount all the TVs that are just left on for the next show. It's a big portion of the AEW audience.
There was that night it went on against NXT last year. Remember that? And NXT Taker and all the big guns, John Cena. And they did do a good number for being on and off night. They did, I think it was 700 and something thousand viewers. So, or is that right? Actually, I don't know if it was that high. I can double check. But it wasn't this low, even though it was an off night. So
yeah,
we'll see.
And I think
we'll see
things
next
like
week.
that.
This could just be an outlier.
It could be.
Yeah, because you do have those every now and then. Just one weird rating where it just looks like it just seems off.
Yeah.
So that time it was on Tuesday night. It did 609,000 viewers and a 0.26. So that's still better than what they did this last Wednesday.
Yeah.
You see any? There's
P. Smitty 3000. I hope Ricochet signed his AEW deal and disappearing Hank. I mean, WWE really tried with Ricochet. I don't think this is not for lack of trying. They didn't bury him. They didn't give him anything stupid for a gimmick. Like, it was just for whatever reason outside of the ring, he failed to connect.
Yeah. He's a great talent. It just does seem like he has a ceiling. Maybe, hopefully he proves me wrong.
Yeah, hope so.
Let's see. Longhorn said today the McAfee show got cut off with the "You lied" message. Roz and Indy, Missy noting that they mentioned it. They mentioned the massacre on NXT and that it gave commentators nightmares. That's true.
Yeah, NXT this week was fun. Oh,
yeah.
Matt Morgan. Let me text him back.
And Ricky Rue saying it was a holiday. Shouldn't ideally everyone be home watching TV? Midweek. It's one thing if it's a Monday where it's a long weekend, you go travel. But yeah, midweek again, most of the television shows were up. Again, a lot of the reasons why they were up is you didn't have the NBA finals. So yeah.
Big Time Baxter's asking my thoughts on Javon Evans booking. So he won that battle royal, and he only had his first match on TV in NXT back in February. Now that he's been wrestling for 6 years, it's not lack of experience, but it did seem too soon. So it makes sense what they did at the end by involving Sean Spears and Ethan Page. So it's going to be a fatal 4-way at NXT Heat Wave. It's not going to be Javon versus Trick 1-on-1, which not due to Javon's lack of TV experience. It's just that having a friendly match is not a main event or a very good championship match at a PLE. The 4-way will be good.
So the 4-way, it'll be Javon, Trick,
Sean Spears, Trick Williams, Ethan Page.
Oh, Ethan Page. Oh yeah, so I guess that does kind of make sense that they're kind of trading wins then.
Yeah. Although Ethan Page, man, he is not over with that crowd. It's interesting. Like, he's very good, and I think they could develop his character more, but he's not Lexus King. He's not someone you love to hate. Like, the crowd just seems to dislike him.
He's a heel, though, right? Or
he is, but again, like, Lexus King is a heel, but the crowd likes Lexus King. Baron Corbin's a heel. The crowd likes Baron Corbin.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But Ethan Page, like, people seem to genuinely not appreciate his presence.
Right.
At Battleground or on TV.
Big Tim Baxter is asking, do you guys think CW rips up the NXT contract and gives them an increase? Seems like a steal for CW. I mean, why would they do that? You're like, hey, why don't we just start paying you more money?
Yeah, you're doing such a good job.
Yeah.
Raj, I think about all those years I was doing the podcast where I'm like, Glenn, you're doing such a good job. Let me just give you more money.
Right.
Don't even ask. Just here you go.
Yep.
That's how everything works. No, I think I don't know. People are disagreeing about Ethan Page. I'm just telling you, at Battleground, people seem to not dig him. And I think he's talented though, but I think they just need to give him. He got the hottest intro in NXT in a while. Huge surprise, right into the main event scene, you know?
Yeah. RM is asking, Raj, who is most do you want to see? Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns? I think he means against The Rock. Gosh, that's a tough one. I'd still say Roman Reigns for me personally. What do you think, Glenn?
I mean, I think Roman's presence is sorely missed.
Mm-hmm.
My worry about Cody's championship run is already coming true in that we've got this Mr. America Super Cena babyface that's the goodwill ambassador of WWE and professional wrestling. He's very likable, but unless you give him good stories, Randy Orton is a good story.
Exactly. There's so much you could play into with that.
AJ was one good story they stretched over 2 matches.
Well, AJ, the problem with AJ is that when was the last time he won a match on pay-per-view or PLE? But he hasn't won a big, he hasn't been booked as someone at the top in a long time. They just kind of threw him in there because they didn't have anyone else.
Yeah. Matt Morgan.
Yeah, there he is.
Hey guys, sorry.
No problem. How you doing?
Good.
So Matt, you think Shane McMahon going to AEW fixes everything?
Sure, definitely. Yes. Yeah. I can't wait for AEW Underground. It's going to be this new awesome concept.
That would. Could you imagine? So Matt, did you see that AEW Dynamite rating? They did their lowest number in history this past Wednesday night.
No, what was it?
It was 502,000 viewers with a 0.16. I mean, NXT destroyed Dynamite this week. NXT beat Dynamite. Gosh, what was it? What was the percentage? I had it somewhere.
By 200,000 votes. Votes. Politician brain. Viewers.
I'll get that real quick, but it was significant. It was the biggest margin of victory I think that they've had.
So listen, part of me, I don't want to beat up on AEW because here's what's going to happen, guys. AEW one of these days is going to cease to exist. And we're going to go back in time and go, should we have been beating up on them as much as we have? Not just us. I mean, like every wrestling podcast beats up on them for their crappy ratings and Tony being crazy on Twitter and things like that makes them an easy target. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, what are we supposed to do at the same time? We can't pretend it's doing well. And it's just mind-boggling because that roster is insane. That's such a talented roster.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll stick around, but and I'm sure they'll get a new. Yeah, I'm sure they'll get a new deal. But so in viewers, NXT this past week beat Dynamite by 44%, and in the 18 to 49 demo, NXT beat Dynamite by 63%. And Dynamite was against the NHL, the Stanley Cup final, while Dynamite had no NBA or NHL competition.
Oh, NXT was up against something and AEW wasn't?
Right.
Wow.
And it still beat it by a huge amount.
We don't really count the NHL, but I'll digress.
But still the NHL did 4 million viewers, so it was still number one. But yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Touche. My bad.
Yeah. And another thing we're talking about, Matt, at SummerSlam, it looks like it's going to be Cody versus Solo Sikoa, not Randy Orton.
Good, because it's too quick to go to Randy. Way too quick. We got to start developing him staring at the title belt like he did the other night. As they went off the air, or left the segment, remember, and he's staring at that belt. Little nuances like that to really layer up the storyline. The storyline's already built. The foundation's already been built. We need to see what's the trigger that sets it off. And I'd like for them to space it out because. But by the same token, the match with Solo is going to be boring as hell. No offense.
Yeah, I just feel like SummerSlam, you need to turn that into your WrestleMania if you're going to start doing it 2 nights in a stadium like they're going to do in 2 years. And I think to do that, you need to put the biggest matches you can. And Cody versus Solo isn't it. I mean, they still got Punk versus Drew, likely Seth Rollins versus Gunther, and LA Knight versus Logan Paul.
Okay, now that last one, that's going to be – a lot of those are going to be good, by the way. I can't wait to see Punk and Drew, obviously.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see Logan Paul and LA Knight. But what about why are you an automatic? It has to be Seth Rollins. Why? Why not – what's his name?
Why not Damian Priest?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, heel versus heel at SummerSlam in a stadium, I just don't see that dynamic working.
You don't – but you don't think – do you don't think that they're making a point – right now, especially with how they did the screwy finish and he kept his title at the last pay-per-view, the dude damn near broke his leg in the ropes and still finished the match, which, trust me, guys like Triple H, some of the older school thought, type of people like in leadership there, like Hunter, appreciate that kind of stuff and that grit. In a day and age where guys in matches get stopped right away if somebody gets hurt and they don't finish the match, I guarantee you he scored a lot of points with those backstage gutting through that match because, dude, those ropes kill. While that was happening, I'm like, oh, my God, dude, his leg is going to be amputated after this. It's got to be. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll protect him. And as Antonio Baker saying he doesn't want to see Seth Rollins win the world title only to lose it 3 weeks later. I don't think he's losing it to Gunther. Real quick, they could protect Priest, as Keyshawn points out. Judgment Day will turn on Priest at SummerSlam. I think they turn on him at Money in the Bank and cost him the title. Seth wins that way.
Okay. No, I mean, I just thought that, especially when Hunter was talking in the press conference about Damian Priest proving doubters and naysayers about his title reign wrong. I mean, as soon as he said that, I'm like, okay, well, he's winning his next pay-per-view defense.
Mm-hmm.
I automatically thought that, so maybe I'm wrong.
Plus, Seth is just coming back. I don't see him losing this quick.
See,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go.
How do you reconcile Judgment Day, the Final Testament, all these other badass groups now that you have the Wyatt Six in existence?
I don't know what they're gonna do with. I was thinking about this more and more about the Wyatt Six in general, and I'm like, Wyndham's passed, so nobody wants to hear about bad things about that character or how it came across on television at times, like the Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell. That was just horrible, and it's a tough act to book baby faces against and expect your baby face to come out on the other end better than how they started, because of the Houdini, because of the hocus pocus, crap that comes from, these characters. So now you don't just have one supernatural, they have five.
Yeah.
So they have to be protected. They can't be losing matches. That's number one. Number two, they've all got to be like Jason Voorhees, essentially. No selling the shit out of everything. So I don't even know if you have them wrestle. There has to be something they can do with this, where they keep doing the cool sci-fi shit they did the other night that we were all really shocked at and impressed with, and that thing deserves like some type of an award. Just that skit alone, that pre-tape, or that was live. That wasn't even a pre-tape. That was one single shot, no less. That's so impressive. They deserve some award for that. I'm not sure what that award is, but they deserve it. I was going to say, I don't know what you do to keep doing things like that without getting them into the wrestling ring and then wrestling a wrestling match in a ring. I just don't know how that's going to look, how that's going to come across. Is it going to be silly like it was when Bray had the big mallet and was literally about to squash Seth Rollins' head open? This is murder. This is just flat out murder, right? So, how do you do that where it doesn't wear its welcome out and it becomes cheesy or corny and everybody rolls their eyes and go, oh, it's fake wrestling again?
Well, like we were saying on the podcast earlier this week, hopefully they keep it so they're just crazy psychos and not supernatural, right? Because then
I'm praying that's what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. This isn't this is the furthest they've gone since Bray hasn't been with us, right? I mean,
I'd say this is the furthest they've gone.
Well, yeah, Bray was snapping necks, man. Like the Fiend was not.
Yeah,
these guys murdered the whole backstage crew. They had the visual. It looked like a guy was,
I know,
shot they had the blood on the wall. So I think this was the furthest, but
yeah.
Outside of maybe, didn't Randy Orton burn Bray Wyatt on fire?
Yeah.
I tried to block that year out of my memory, but there was that.
That's what I mean. And Randy, even Randy got dragged down in that. Remember? Randy freaking Orton, first ballot Hall of Famer. So it's a burial, whatever babyface works against this. So unless they do it the way we're saying, which is no supernatural powers, they're psychopaths, and they got to do a very good job explaining why each are crazy, why we're scared of them. And that way, if they lose matches, it won't matter. They can sit there chewing on their own arm and shit like that after they lose a match. Or like Mick Foley used to do. Mick Foley used to do some crazy stuff when he first got there. Remember that Mind Games match versus Shawn Michaels? I'll never forget this. He's on the side of the ring selling, and Shawn was working. He hit his knee. Mankind's knee hit the steel steps, and he took this great flip bump over it. Well, he gets back up on offense again, and he's sitting on the ring trying to get his leg to come to life, right? So he takes this stake thing, I forget what it was, and starts jabbing it into his leg, stabbing his own leg. I'm like, that dude is certifiably crazy. And
that same match.
Yes. Yes, I mean, yeah. So it made me. It just made me more a believer. So there's ways you can do this and come across as legit crazy. and scary.
And I was going to say that same match, he also took that table bump head first. He flew in head
That's
first.
right.
On that table.
Oh my God. Dude, like,
But-
what are the chances of landing that way? Go ahead, sorry.
But Matt, crazy was Dean Ambrose. Like, oh, he's the unhinged lunatic.
They can't do that. They can't do that.
The
They can't
Wyatt
do it that
family,
way.
though, the Wyatt family, when they came in, they weren't supernatural.
No, and they were scary as hell to me. I was scared as hell of them as a
They-
fan watching it. And even though I know all of them, that group was eerie as hell.
I mean, in 2015, they stole the Undertaker's body and supposedly like got powers. I mean, like there was weird shit going on in the Wyatts all along. I think we just chose to ignore a lot of it.
That's why I said at the beginning.
You might be right.
Like NXT, but he was alluding to stuff we just didn't know. Like, oh, he does the crazy spider walk. You know, guys wearing a sheep mask. Like,
I used to love the Butcher's
yeah,
spot, whatever the hell you call that he used to wear. I just thought that was cool.
yeah. No, it was always insinuated that like you could always take away like they've dropped some bodies in a swamp somewhere.
That they've killed and they will kill again. Yes.
Yes. You know, I don't know. It's exciting. It's scary, not like in a horror movie sense. It's scary like in I don't want them to screw this up sense.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I feel like it's on a high wire, but maybe that's what makes it more exciting. I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah. What else did you guys hit?
The big one was the Dynamite one. That's the one that everyone is talking about right now. That the Dynamite rating being so low. What can Dynamite do? What can AEW do to kind of get the show back on track? Because last week's number was bad enough, and then this week was,
So
really crazy low.
What I don't like, they better not do this. They better not put the onus on poor Swerve Strickland, because they've done a putrid job with him now that he's won the championship of how they've booked him. You don't put him in a freaking babyface situation where he's there with one of their most popular, on the upswing baby faces in Will Ospreay like that. Like making the fans choose like that, that's so stupid and idiotic.
Yeah.
So dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But because, again, Tony thinks you can just book great wrestler A versus great wrestler B and not have to have like an onion thick layer after layer after layer after layer of a nice storyline that gets people involved, emotionally invested rather. They don't think that you have to do that. They just think you can pair up any two good wrestlers and that are just happen to be popular at the moment and just let them go. No, you can't. Look how long it took Swerve to get to this point. And you're just going to flush it down the toilet with shitty, lazy booking for him? They should, he is so easy to book for because he's cool. Give him the mic, get the hell out of his way. Let him do what he does, because you can't tell Swerve how to be Swerve. You can't. Mm-hmm. You just can't. He's one of those characters that you could just see it. So much of his own ish is in this persona. I don't even think it's his persona. I think it's him just cranked up like it's supposed to be cranked up. And they're getting in the way of doing that. And they're finding ways to take his dial somehow, take his hand off his own dial, and doing what we've never seen in wrestling before, which is turn the dial opposite. And because of how they're booking him and putting him in dumb-ass scenarios that do not serve him. And it's annoying. It's annoying because we all waited it feels like so long, but it was only a couple of years really, that I'll never forget. It was in that press scrum when he was in that tag team match and everyone was cheering for, who was it? Oh, come on. The Acclaim. They wanted the Acclaim to win. I think they were in Chicago. And you can tell Swerve took that a certain kind of way in that press scrum. And I like that he took it that way. I like that he got pissed by it. And I was like, dude, this dude just got a major fire lit under his ass. He's going to prove these people wrong. And we waited 2 years later, maybe it was 3 years. I'm not sure. I think 2 years. And the dude wins the world championship finally. We all wanted to see it finally, and it happened. Like, give it to us, Tony. Give us more of that. Don't now throw stupid things in front of him. They're not obstacles. They're real life obstacles, which is hurting your show. Because that's your 1A guy right now. That's your world champion. You need to start treating him like it.
Yeah. Well, SmackDown's coming up.
And to your point, Matt, I feel like AEW, always works best when they do have a big heel against a big babyface. And these babyface programs don't draw as much interest.
Even MJF's first match out, like, why is that his opponent? Like, what? Like, that's supposed to get us excited?
Hechicero?
Come on.
Yeah, that was weird. They teased MJF and Will Ospreay on Dynamite, but the match at the pay-per-view is Hechicero. And I mean, it's like, what are we doing
Nobody
here?
cares. They did that pre-tape. It's like, nobody knows who this guy is. No disrespect. I'm sure he's very popular amongst the internet wrestling world, right? But I don't know.
Speaking of which, Bigfoot Sneakerhead Buck99 wants to know: do you believe WWE will steal John Hendry?
Joe Hendry, you mean? Yeah.
Joe. Yes. I hope so. Oh God, I hope so. Yeah, I want to see this dude get paid. He's figured a thing out that they always taught. Even I couldn't figure it out as a wrestler for 13 years. Of how can you find something that's not done before? How can you create a character that's not been done yet? This dude figured it out. Like, there is not, I'm not, unless I'm wrong, I'm not seeing another character sing songs about their opponent, clowning the hell out of them, and having these awesome edits in the video along the way, and just so charismatic, good-looking dude, play music, like, he's super talented.
Yeah.
He's got that smug, cheesy smile. Like, he's awesome. I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And NXT popped that rating with him.
Oof, that was awesome.
So, guys, SmackDown starting. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Friday, same time, or in between if something major happens.
Yeah.
Jacob Fatu might show up tonight. Rikishi was teasing something, but I feel like Rikishi's been teasing Jacob Fatu showing up since Mania every night.
I haven't heard anything of him being there tonight, but we'll see.
I hope so. Oh God, I hope so.
We'll see. Okay, everybody, have a great weekend. We'll catch you back here next time on Gigantic Pop. Take care.